Hey everybody, Nick here with Pinckney Marketing again, and today we're going to talk about something near and dear to my heart, SEO. Now there's three sides to SEO that you may have heard about. There's on-site SEO, technical SEO, and off-site SEO. So today we're going to focus mainly on the off-site SEO, and there's multiple parts to that, but we're mostly going to take a look at backlinks. Now backlinks are any type of content out there on the web that points traffic back to your site. Now, this could be in the shape of images, videos, hyperlinked text, anything that points that traffic to your domain. Now, there's a big misconception out there that all backlinks are created equal. Unfortunately, that's not true. So there's a few things that Google looks at, and we look at quality and quantity of backlinks and how they're related to each other and what we should actually focus on more. A lot of strategists out there will say, let's just get you more backlinks, more backlinks, more backlinks. And although that is part of a strategy, it's not the entire strategy. So the problem with going after a strategy such as that is that Google does take a look at the relevance of those backlinks. So for instance, if you're a clothing company and you're associated with a shoe company, there's a clear indication there of what your intent is. There's a clear connection between the two brands. However, if you're a clothing company and you have backlinks from a car company, it's harder to make that connection. So Google looks at that and says, well, I don't understand what shirts have to do with this car. And so they can't make that connection. Therefore, that backlink typically doesn't count as much for you. The other thing they take a look at is location. Where are these backlinks actually located? Now, if you're a US-based company and you only do business within the US and you have backlinks that come from a foreign country, that looks a little suspicious to Google as well. Now, oftentimes when we see these backlinks coming from other countries, what we see is that they're usually associated with spam and phishing scams and all sorts of other malware and things that you really don't want to be associated with. So Google looks at this and says, well, there's a backlink from this site, which is known to be problematic, that connects to your website. You must be guilty by association. Therefore, it ends up hurting your ranking. So having more backlinks isn't always the answer. We have to look at the quality of those backlinks as well. So we briefly mentioned on the trust score, domain authority. We want to make sure that those are as high as possible. And typically you have higher domain and trust scores from well-known companies like Coca-Cola and Nike and Amazon. They have very high trust and domain scores. Whereas other companies, which are more of your mom and pops type of shops, usually have a lower domain score and domain authority. Now, there's a lot of different tools out there to help measure this, and you can use tools such as SEMrush or Moz, or there's a whole plethora of other tools out there to measure these. I will tell you that the one problem with measuring this is that there's not a standard for it. So when you look at your domain authority, take it with a grain of salt. However, it's not to be completely ignored. Now, one other thing we want to talk about briefly is your toxicity score. Now, when we look at the backlinks that point to your website, they all have a toxicity score associated with them. Usually it's anywhere from 0 to 100 is the scale that's used. The higher the number, the more toxic that backlink is, and the more guilty you're going to be through association with that company as well. So we want to make sure that anything that usually has a toxicity score of about 50 or higher gets removed, and there's a few ways to do that. So one method of doing this is finding out who owns that domain, and you reach out to them and say, hey, really appreciate the backlink, thank you for that. However, I would like if you either put a no follow tag on it, and no follow tags are another conversation we can have another day, but either put a no follow tag on it so that it's not affecting my ranking, or completely remove that ranking altogether. Now, the web is a big place. We know that people are unresponsive on the web as well. So if you send this email out and you get no response or not the right type of response, don't worry, there's still one more option. What we can do is actually create an entire file of all of these different URLs that you don't want to be associated with. And we submit this through Google Search Console, and say, hey Google, please disavow these backlinks. Now when you disavow them, you're essentially saying, I don't want to be associated with them. I don't know why they're connecting to me. Please don't let it affect my ranking. So Google will take this into consideration, and more times than not, they will say, okay, well, we are not going to associate you with this backlink and it's not going to hurt your ranking. So there's a lot of cool tips and tricks and tactics that we can do. It's just identifying the right one and going through the right steps first. So first start by identifying what are your backlinks, how many do you have, and what's the quality of those backlinks. I would rather have 5 or 6 good quality backlinks than 100 bad backlinks. The quality and the quantity don't always match up. So you want to make sure that the people that are linking back to you are actually relevant and they're going to help you and not hurt you. Now, I know this is a lot to take on at once, and if you have questions about it or not sure really how to start, feel free to contact us and we'd be happy to set up a profile for you and measure this and do a quick audit and let you know what your backlink structure actually looks like.